Welcome to 49ers After Dark, where I wear slightly different clothes than I did an hour and a half ago. I'm here joined by my wonderful co-host, Jessie Naylor. Jessie, you just got monetized on YouTube. Congratulations. If you haven't subscribed to Jessie already, do that. Last Second Sports. But he doesn't really matter anymore because Jesse's got it now. It's just he's a made man at this point. So congrats. Mazel tov.
Thank you very much. I actually just did a show, and Waruna, shout out to Waruna. First super chat. I appreciate you, my man.
I would expect no less. Waruna is the most passionate and supportive 49ers fan in the world. Thank you, Waruna. So we want to talk about Trey Lance. Here's the thing. I've given my observations from camp.
Yeah.
None of the other beat writers really went so far as to really go in. It's one day. But that's what I saw. And you were really the one who got me into Trey Lance. You got me to open my mind. Mm-hmm. And now I've seen him in person. And I guess it's not like I learned new things, but I see the concerns up front. So sure. I want to run them by you so you can help me make sense of them. Okay. Because I don't think they're alarming. I think they're fixable. But here's what I saw. He struggled at 7-on-7. It's not a good form for him right now. No play action, no rollouts, just drop back and throw. No pass rush, but still, that's where the mechanical stuff comes in. Stand still and throw. Just stand right there.
Yeah.
And when he throws downfield, not like down the field, but like on a line, 15 yards, he's overstriding and grunt. I call him like they're grunt throws. He doesn't need to work that hard on those throws.
Yeah.
He's got so anyway, that's when he's missing. He threw 2 balls that should have been picked yesterday. 1 was picked. That's it. It's a mechanical thing. When he went to 11-on-11s and could do play action, could leave the pocket, he looked better. And I think when he's going to be in a real game, he's going to look even better than that. So given what I told you, are you concerned about Trey Lance?
Not at all, man. You know, it's funny because I was watching a couple of your shows immediately after all this happened, and you know, people are like, "Oh, come on, Grant, it's his first practice," and then you have the other half going, "Well, I mean, these are the things that I expected, and I knew Lance was a bust." It's like, hold on, guys, we're 7-on-7s, and we're not even in full OTAs. Like, it's June. Let's chill a little bit, okay? Yeah. We're way too fast.
Even June.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not even June. We're way too fast to make decisions on quarterbacks. In my show just a minute ago, somebody asked about. I think it was Amin actually asked about Tua, and people were like, "Oh, he's a bum. He's a bust. He's this and that." Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years.
True.
Peyton Manning struggled as a rookie.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman struggled as a rookie.
1-15.
Right. We have Andrew Luck struggled as a rookie. We've been spoiled with guys coming out lately and looking fantastic early. Mm-hmm. But then we forget about all the other greats that had to sit or had to go through struggles. And if a guy comes out in his first time in a professional setting and doesn't look the best, it's okay. Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to ask you, you said that these throws were over the middle, but when he was throwing right versus throwing left, and I know there weren't a lot of throws, did you see an issue more towards the right side than you did left?
Yeah. Now I say between over the middle. Both passes were between the numbers, but also both passes were to receivers going left to right, crossing his face left to right. Okay. So he's throwing to moving targets going left to right. And they're probably to his right by the time he lets the ball go. Okay. Certainly on the second one. The first one was a high pass to tight end Peterson. It was a little bit more underneath, and it was high. The one to Benjamin was just straight up airmailed, and that was more 15, 20 yards down the field on like an over route.
I asked that question because I called this out in his pro day, and I've said it ever since. It's still an issue of his. It's the only thing he needs to clean up still.
Okay.
He opens up with his left shoulder too fast sometimes.
Okay. That makes total sense. You'll leave your back shoulder back. You'll leave your... Yes, that makes total sense.
So if you're going
right, release out front,
yeah. So if you're going right and you open up too early, you're going to airmail balls a lot. But if you're going left and you open up early, just the direction of where you're throwing, you can correct it.
Actually, you want to open up when you're going to your left. Some quarterbacks have a problem opening up throwing to the Kaepernick had a problem opening up and throwing to. He couldn't even see it. A lot of his picks came throwing left.
Right.
Interesting. So I posted it during the rookie minicamp, a clip of him throwing, and it got like 90,000 views. And a lot of people were like, hey, man, he missed 3 throws in a row, deep outs to the right. And he did. It was all high. And it's something to look for because it's 2 minutes and you're looking for something. And then boom, here it is again. So you saw it in the pro day. Yep. It's what he's working on. And I think it was always unrealistic to think that a guy could create new muscle memory that fast. It's a process. Right. As we said, Aaron Rodgers 3 years on the bench in Green Bay. But what he did in Green Bay was totally rebuild his throwing motion. It was totally different at the end of that. So it can be done. It just does take some time. What did Malcolm Gladwell say? Is it 10,000 hours or 10,000 reps? You really got to commit yourself to it.
Absolutely, you do. And listen, I really believe that he had 3 mechanical issues coming into this season where he wasn't able to play. 2 of them, I believe, have still been fixed, but that one is still the one. That's the bugaboo. And I see it show up time and time again. And obviously not being there, I couldn't assess it. But hearing you say it, I expected it to be throws going to the right more so than anything because
good call.
That's an issue for him. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You did me like, was he throwing to the right? I was like, yes, good call. So look, he has this mechanical thing that he knows about and he's working on right now. He hasn't played in about a long time. He hasn't played in a very long time. He's going from 1AA football to the NFL. Yep. It's his first week of OTAs and he's doing 7-on-7s with the backups. Yep. So this is all to be expected. It's what's the real story is how does he improve? What's he look like next week? What's he look like the week after? What's he look like in training camp? Really, the diagnostic week 1 where he's at doesn't really matter. He's 21. He's entitled to be where he is right now. Yeah. And pretty much they should have known it. And they just need to have a plan and have him on, is it going to take X amount of time? I don't know. But I do think he should go to Tom House. I know he's been working with people, but Tom House is the guy, man. He's like the guru of gurus. And I don't think that there's anyone in the Niners organization that has that kind of background.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am going to have Sean McAvoy back on next week.
No shots at Sean McAvoy. Sean, you do a great job. I'm just saying Tom House in addition. Yes. For sure. Seriously,
yeah, I'm going to have McAvoy on next week, and I'm going to ask him about that because I pointed it out when we talked the first time, and he kind of glossed over it. And now that we're seeing it show up again, I'm curious to see what his thoughts are around that situation because it is an issue. And I know it's something that they're working on. I just want to know what he sees from it and how they plan on correcting it.
Absolutely. And again, he looked better in 11-on-11s because in 11-on-11, he can throw on the run.
Yes.
That is very natural for him. It's going to be the throwing stationary that's going to be trained, not natural, trained, but that's okay. That's okay. And Carson Wentz is the same freaking way. And Carson Wentz has had a lot of success in the NFL. So don't panic. The sky isn't falling. It was just a diagnostic. And really, I think there were some hopes like, man, this guy's going to be rookie of the year. He might. But this is totally fair where he came into the 49ers. He's not like unprepared or a bust or anything like that.
Well, I do want to point out one thing too, because you and I did talk after one of your shows this morning. I think it was a show with your dad. And again, you had pointed out that basically it was a rough day, a rough practice. And I think people took that and were like, oh, you're making too much about nothing. But really, after us talking, you made a very good point. You said, I don't think this was a rough day. I think this is what we should expect from him.
Right.
This is where he's at mechanically. Yes. This is not a one-off. This is who he is right now. And that is very different than skies falling. He had one rough day. He can fix it tomorrow.
He should be better than this. What the hell is that? No. Right. This is exactly where he should be.
Right.
Exactly where he should be. Good point.
I think that clarity is very important.
Now, this brings us to Chris Sims. Chris Sims is ranking his top 40 quarterbacks in the NFL. And to his credit, he's being consistent. He ranked Kellen Mond ahead of Trey Lance a few months ago before the draft, and he's doing it again right now. And you know what? After watching Trey Lance the last couple of times, I got to say that that's probably fair because Trey Lance has a lot of improvement ahead of him. So what do you think of what Chris Sims did? 38.
Listen, I think having a rookie at 38 is not an issue.
Not right.
But Chris Sims has laid out a sword, and I think he's going to die on that sword, man. I think this GM aspirations of his have gotten a little out of hand. He's very good at breaking down players, but this year he's been off his rocker. He had J.C. Horn as the 7th overall corner. Let's talk about that for a second. J.C. Horn is a bona fide stud in this league. All right. I believe that, as strong as I was about the Lance thing, J.C. Horn is the one guy that I've said, listen, he's going to be a savage. So to have him at 7 out of all the corners that came out this year, I just don't see that. Then he puts Wilson ahead of Lawrence, a little bit crazy. And now he has Lance behind Mond. I love Mond. I know you love Mond. I don't have any issues with Mond. I think Mond's a good player. But I think that he's way off base on this. I think he's been way off base this whole offseason in his evaluations. And one of us is going to be right. Maybe it's him, maybe it's me. But I've never disagreed with Sims more than I have this year. I disagree with most of the things that he said this offseason. And we'll see who's right.
I think it's actually a fair ranking where right now, to say in May of 2021, I think putting him 38 is fair. I don't think he's going to be 38 for long, though. That's the thing. He's going to shoot up this. He should shoot up this chart. To put him there now, I saw him yesterday. That's fair. The thing about killing Mond, all the things we say Trey Lance needs to do, Mond has done. Mm-hmm. He's put in the work. He has the reps. He's got the experience. Now, his ceiling isn't anything near what Trey Lance's could be, but he's done it. He's made the strides with his accuracy. I really like him. I think it's fair to put him ahead of Lance now. But again, the idea is that Lance is going to his career is going to take off. Mm-hmm. It could happen next week. It could happen next month. But if Chris Sims is like, hey man, this is a pre-OTA ranking, fair enough. That's all I'm saying. Fair enough.
Yeah. The problem is that Sims had him ranked above him, period, as a prospect. So he's really planted his flag in this whole situation, and kudos to him. He hasn't wavered. I'll give him credit for that, but
Chris Sims is a lot like Shanahan in that their attitude is like, man, if you have mechanical flaws, I don't like you at all. Mm-hmm. And that's his philosophy. That's Kyle's philosophy. It's not Andy Reid's philosophy at all. No. It's not Sean Payton's philosophy. Sean Payton's done a lot of work with Taysom Hill. You know what I mean? I think it kind of just says what Chris Sims thinks is fixable, but that's sort of on the coach. So sorry, Chris, that is your real name. The Mex says, did the specific Trey plays that you can't talk about happen in 11s or 7s, or you can't tell us? It happened in 11s. That's all I can tell you. Don't get me in trouble. I'm trying to stay out there. It happened in 11s. Use your imagination. All right, let's move on. Hold on. Lance can't throw. Just a Jimmy who can run.
You're so far off base, and I love it. I love all of this because, again, I was killed for saying Lance was the draft pick a month before it happened. I'm getting killed now for sticking by the guy that I said is going to prove out to be the best quarterback in this draft behind Lawrence. And I love seeing all the people coming out of the woodworks and planting their flags. Remember all of this because I want to see all of you in about 2 years. I want to hear from every single one of you. I cannot wait.
Let me say something. If he were missing all over the place, if he was totally scattershot, that's Gabbert. Okay, yes. That's Gabbert.
Yep.
One time it's at his knees. One time it's behind him. One time it's high. He's consistently high. It's fixable. Yep. It's fixable. The question is, how much time, how many reps? Doesn't matter. You have Jimmy Garoppolo. It'll take the amount of time it takes. You know what I mean? That's basically, it's fixable. Don't worry. I did compare him to Blaine Gabbert, but that was my impression I got. I just said, like, when I'm watching him, I'm thinking, like, this is what Blaine Gabbert looked like. But Gabbert was 27, and Gabbert never improved. And now that I think about it, Gabbert didn't just miss high. He missed every which way. He would bounce passes. So if it's just missing high, totally fixable, and it's understandable, as Alex Smith pointed out today. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
I actually want to bring this up, too, real quick, too, because I brought this up before the draft, and I think it's more relevant now than it's ever been. I said something along the lines of when you start a new job, sometimes there's a new system you have to learn, or there's new trainings you have to learn. And even though it's doing the same thing that you're used to, it's in a different environment. And sometimes your processing can slow down and you think about the things that you never thought about before, things that came natural to you in your previous job. Well, imagine that now for Trey Lance. This is first time with new coworkers, essentially, right? To put it into layman's terms, this is a first time in a new setting. This is a new system for him that he's learning. Is it at all possible that maybe he's thinking a little bit more than what he normally would because he's not used to things? And so
that's what I'm seeing.
Maybe he's off a little bit because of that. He's holding the ball long and then he's seeing things late. And so he's trying to overcompensate by throwing it in too hard and being high. Those things are possible too.
No question. And it's all to be expected earlier on in the process. Mm-hmm. Did you hear Kittle on the Eisen show talking about Trey? No. Did you? No. Hey, I'll get back to you on that one. But we want to talk about Lynch's interview with Chris Collinsworth. Do you want to give a quick little Cliff Notes?
Yeah, I'll give you about 5 or 6 things that he said that were interesting. So first of all, he confirmed that they went after the Jets pick at 2, Dolphins pick at 3, Falcons pick at 4, Bengals pick at 5. He said that he didn't think the guys that they were interested in would make it to 12. He also said that Trey was the early favorite. East Bay. He also said Trey was the early favorite, but they did their due diligence on everybody else. Here was the one thing that really stood out to me most, though. He said on the way back from the Fields workout, Kyle was drawing up plays while they were on the plane. And he asked him what he was doing, and he said he was drawing up plays for Trey Lance. Is that a bit overdoing it? Do you believe that?
Yes, of course. He's playing it on so thick. But I love John Lynch. He's like, look, man, no one's going to ever verify this. This is between me and Kyle. All right. Kyle, I'm going to say you always liked him. All right. I'm going to go and say that you were drawing up plays. What are you going to do? Say I was wrong? I'm not saying he's lying, but that's between him, Kyle, and God at this point, man. I mean, I love John. It's like, yeah, man, I can say I got total license here, man. This is for the good of the organization. Kyle, just let me do my thing. I'm going to say this. So John is so good at what he does. He's the most underrated executive in the NFL.
He is.
So good. Because he's listening to us. He's like, okay, the narrative out there is that we're split. Kyle didn't want him. That's a problem. I got to handle that. So what I got to do is do Kyle's work. I'm going to go out there and say that Kyle was like, hey, he didn't even know. I was watching him. He was doodling up plays. And he said, I heart Trey. There were all these doodles. And he didn't know that I saw that. You got to love John Lynch. He's so savvy. So do I buy it? No. But Lynch is doing what he needs to do. And Kyle, get on board sooner or later because your career is now tied to Trey Lance, whether you want it to be or not. Whether you want it to be or not, it's you and him, baby. It's you and him.
He was writing Trey Lance notes. Do you like
me? He was just writing Trey Lance's name over and over and over again, right?
Here's the other things that he said that I found interesting. On the Mac rumors, he said, people make stuff up. There is no consequences for being wrong.
Yeah, Adam Schefter just throws stuff against the wall and sees what sticks. Same with Ian Rappaport, Mike Silver, Todd McShay, Matt Mayoko. John, I love you. God love you. I love you, man.
He said what they saw in Trey, they see upside in him. He sees mechanical things that need to be cleaned up. We just talked about that. Yep. But he reads defense as well and makes his progressions, which he loved.
Love it. I agree.
And then the last two things he said.
Want to throw it, buddy. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. The last two things that he said were he told Jed York that they wanted to move up to 3, but as a part of that stipulation, they wanted to keep Jimmy and had to make sure that that was okay before they did it.
Because they wanted Trey Lance all along. It was Trey Lance or no one. Always. Okay, hold on. I have a takeaway real quick. I don't buy this. It's the spin, and it's what I would do if I were John Lynch. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty clear that at no point was Justin Fields in the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That one thing is clear. Yes.
Jed York got a private jet, sent them out to Columbus for him to watch Justin Fields. And on the way back, he's thinking about Trey Lance. Justin Fields was never in the conversation for the 49ers. No. Never.
No.
A lot of people saying that they was and his sources is going to be, but no, never. And apparently Mac Jones wasn't either. But, hey, man, okay, fine, whatever. That's fine. I'll believe you if I see Trey Lance going to Tom House or you have some plan Because I feel like any team that drafted Trey Lance had to have okay, yes, he has mechanical issues, but we got to do X, Y, Z, and we've had success with this, and it's in our organization not a problem. Okay, let's see it, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, listen, they knew that this was an issue. Lynch just said it. What are they going to do about it? Right? Because the excuse no longer lies with Shanahan that I don't have my guy. If this is nice, Eric.
Nice.
It's a way to get banned in a chat. But yeah, if he doesn't pan out because you didn't put the right resources in front of him and you knew about these issues, well, you know, how good is that going to look on Shanahan? So I don't know. I'm curious to see how this plays out. The last thing that he said was when they reached out to Jimmy and let him know that they were taking a quarterback, Jimmy flat out asked him, am I going to have a legit chance to compete for the starting job? To which, of course, the answer was yes.
And you saw Jimmy's face yesterday, right?
I did.
The happiest he's been in years.
You know what? You went on a Ponte show last night, and Ponte brought something up, and I actually kind of agreed with him. It was very happy in the beginning, but I do feel like he was starting to get peeved towards the middle before even you asked.
After all the Trey Lance questions? Hey, how great is Trey? What's your impression of Trey? Have you talked to Trey? Yeah. What's Trey's mom like? What about his dad? What about his little brother? Yeah, that's enough, man. Hasn't Jimmy earned enough, like one question about him? And the one question was me asking about his knee. Like, Jimmy, you played well in practice today. No one cares. Mufasa says, let's say Jimmy gets hurt, Lance goes in and is terrible, loses 4 games in a row. Will Kyle and Lynch be fired? That is the worst case scenario right there. You just laid it out. Sure. Jimmy gets hurt week 1. I mean, Trey's still a work in process. And now, see, that's why to me, they should be working a third quarterback into these drills. And the fact that Rosen is standing there watching is such a waste. But maybe that's in the future. I think there should be someone else just in case this happens. It's in case that particular thing happens.
Well, I want to clarify that too, because you said that and people were like, well, we saw Rosen throwing in practice. Well, yeah, they did the basic where they drop back and they throw at the beginning to warm up. But you're talking 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, right?
Competition. I'm talking competition.
Okay.
Competition. Yeah. Yep. That's warming up. So okay. I mean, I got to make that clear because you guys don't go to the practices. They start off by warming up and then they do all the little drills so that way they don't, pull muscles and stuff.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. But they did 0 7-on-7 and 11-on-11
for Rosen. 0 for Sudfeld, 0 for Rosen, 0 for Johnson. It's like now in Kyle's defense, they literally did like an hour practice. So he said like, look, I'm going to get them down the line. Well, all right. I'd be pissed if I was Rosen's agent, but I guess at this point, like he really can't. Beggars can't be choosers at this point.
Yeah.
Pink Trip says Saleh and the Jets obviously played Kyle and company. Hold on. Let me read slower. Saleh and the Jets obviously played Kyle and company and made them think Wilson would be available at 3 and then played them. It's war out there. Trey Lance may end up being effective. He may end up being very good. Is he ever going to be worth the trade up to 3 is a different question. And it's almost an unfair question. He shouldn't have to be worth that. But that's what the Niners did. And it's always going to be interesting to see, like, what if they had just stayed at 12 and took Mac Jones? What if they just stayed at 12? I mean, I think Niner fans would be happy. But trading up there, I mean, it changed things, man. Trading up a month before the draft, that is a decision that they're going to have to think about because that is one that I don't think a lot of teams would have done. Essentially, we picked the player. Me and you. Yep. You gave us a month. We spent a lot of time on YouTube. We picked the player, me and you.
Yeah.
And we have no track record. I don't do this for a living. I could be wrong. And I don't get fired. Kyle, you're going to get fired if you're wrong. If we're wrong. So in the future, we tried. Yeah. We gave it an honest effort.
We did. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If the pick was made at 12, no matter who the quarterback is, right? Let's say Lance. Let's take Lance completely out of this. Whether the pick is made at 12 versus 3, no matter who the guy is, the psychoanalysis, this stuff that we're doing right now, talking about 7-on-7s in May, we're not talking about those things. They're not as big of a deal, but because you traded so much capital, people are going to be extremely impatient. And I get it.
One more thing. Remember, Colin Kaepernick was never in a position to play as a rookie. Mm-hmm. But that was a lockout year. He didn't have spring practices. This is a blessing for Trey Lance. Maybe this is going to be the springboard for him to actually be ready to compete and take the job as a rookie, a 21-year-old rookie in August. One way to think about it. Glass half full. Twiggy Cobb says, yo, Iggy, is that instructions for coach For Trey, all 3 reads, i.e. we want you to hit your 3rd read before throwing. Possible. That is possible. Let me ask. Next time, if he keeps doing that, holding the ball, I'll ask. Fair question, because maybe he's just executing. Plug in Lance like the Ravens did L. Jackson. The expectations are so much higher for him, man. Lamar Jackson is a great player too, but he was like the 32nd pick in the draft. This guy is supposed to be, I don't know, more than running back. Okay. Julio?
Yeah, let's talk Julio.
You want to talk Julio? We were both against it at first.
We were.
But we've gotten a lot more information on what the cap space is going to be next year, the year after that, what it would take to get him. We've both changed our minds, and we're in for Julio. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. When I first started looking into it, I was under the impression that it was going to be $19 million next year as a 33-year-old, $19 million the year after that as a 34-year-old. Although I knew that year at 34 is not guaranteed. And then more information came out, and we found out it was closer to like 11.3 million. That's a big difference, by the way. I mean, we're talking an extra decent player that you can pick up for that difference. So when I hear that, that turns into an absolute no-brainer, because here was the issue that I had going into it. One, we have a whole secondary that we have to replace. Okay. Let's say that Ambry Thomas and or Lenore do not pan out. Then we really are up against it, because we won't have a 1st-round pick. We won't have a 2nd-round pick. We don't actually have a 3rd-round pick. It's a compensatory, which is really a 4th.
Yep.
So how are we going to replace this secondary that's all on 1-year deals? And frankly, we probably don't want these guys back because they're 30, 31 years old starting next year. Right. So that was a concern. Then you add in the fact that Julio is 32, about to be 33 going into next season. We're already the 2nd oldest team in the league, possibly the oldest after we get down to 53. And then the last thing is he's making $19 million. I'm out on that. But as soon as I learned that it's only 11, all right, I'm more intrigued by it. Julio is an extremely amazing talent. It's hard to say no to a talent like that for especially, let's say, a 2nd. I heard you say a 2nd and a 4th. It's hard to pass up on a talent like that. But when he's only making 11.3, okay, now my ears perk up. I'm definitely interested at that point.
Yeah. Also, it seems like exactly the kind of wide receiver Trey Lance would use. I mean, a wide receiver, a quarterback who has a tendency to miss high sometimes. Right. Give him Julio Jones. Perfect. Yeah. Only guy else would be even better might be Kyle Pitts, 6'6". I mean, someone like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Deebo Samuel's very good, but he's 5'11" with short arms. Give Trey Lance 6'4" Julio Jones. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works pretty well. Only thing is, will a 2nd and a 4th be enough from the 49ers, or will some AFC team match that?
They may. We're about to find out. I mean, June 1st is the date, right? Like, that's the date that we're going to see a lot of movement. We're going to see more cuts on June 1st. Things are about to get interesting. Maybe it's not Julio. We'll see who else ends up getting cut and or traded. Another
reason I think the Julio thing is legit and doable is because you trade the 2nd, you trade a 4th, you can get those picks back.
Yeah,
you can. There are players the Niners can trade. It could be Deebo, it could be Bosa, it could be whoever they feel.
It could be Jimmy if he plays well.
It could be Jimmy. There's any number of players the Niners could trade for a 2nd-round pick, and so you don't have to trade player for player. You can trade the picks, get Julio Jones, trade a player at the end of the season, get picks back. You can always get picks back. So yeah, I just don't know. Like, some team just may make an offer the Niners can't beat. If someone offers a 1st-round pick, the Niners can't beat that. They don't have firsts.
For sure.
So
I don't see a 1st-round pick happening, but we'll see.
Hold on. East Bay Chris has a very helpful suggestion. What do you think?
No. Not at all, East Bay.
All right,
I hate your show, by the way. It's terrible.
Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and his knee brace. He was not wearing it yesterday.
Yeah.
Should be expected. It's practice. It's been 3 years since he tore that sucker. Mm-hmm. Also, 7-on-7. I mean, what are you protecting yourself from? So I asked him, are you done with that? Is that just are you going to bring it back for games? And he was like, I'm sorry to confuse you guys, but I'm going to be going back and forth with that. I was like, what? So once again, like, I always feel like that is the, it symbolizes how he feels about his durability at that moment. Is he wearing the brace? Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, fantastic question. That was my favorite question of the whole thing, because I made a point, it was about a week or two ago, where somebody asked me about Jimmy's confidence. And I said, I believe we're going to learn a lot about Jimmy's confidence by seeing if he wears that knee brace. If he's wearing that knee brace, I don't like where he's at mentally at all. I don't like the fact that he's about to compete for a starting job and mentally he's got to rely on this crutch. I don't like it. But if he's not wearing that knee brace, that tells me that he's confident, he's ready to roll. And I know that these two things on the surface don't really equate or line up, but to me, it actually tells me he's in a very good headspace as far as competing and going out and trying to win this job. And I don't have any issues with that.
Absolutely. I felt it was the best of Jimmy I've seen. Jimmy at his best. It was good Jimmy. Excellent Jimmy. Mm-hmm. Fantastic Jimmy yesterday. And but he said we're going to go back and forth in that. That's my issue with him, man. I feel like when he came to the Niners, you could say three things about him. He could extend plays a little bit. He wouldn't scramble, but he could move around and make plays with his feet and extend plays. He threw the ball well. Really threw the ball better than any quarterback I'd seen in a long time on the Niners. Quick release, accurate, strong enough arm. And he was tough. He would hang in the pocket and take the hits. Now he can't move. He doesn't want to take the hits. He's protecting his leg at all times. And those he doesn't really throw the ball as well as he used to anymore. Now he's 9 to 8 years older than Trey Lance with a lot of experience on him and should look better than him at this point and does. Sure. And he's very happy about that. It must take a lot of the pressure off. But, man, I think this knee brace thing is kind of indicative of why I'm not optimistic that he's going to fulfill all the promise he showed 4 years ago.
I want to see what happens to that demeanor when Trey comes into a preseason game and he has a beautiful play where he moves away from pressure and throws a dime downfield. Let's see what happens to that confidence then, because that's what I really am curious about, because that's when the questions are really going to open up, and we'll see how confident he is.
Yeah. I just didn't expect him to say, I'm going to go back and forth with that. I thought he was going to say, yeah, I don't even think about that anymore. And then
because that's what he said about the ankle, by the way. Yeah. Oh, that's not even a thing. I'm not even worried about that. But when you asked him about the knee, that's a 3-year-old injury. Well, it's a day by day. We'll go back and forth. And
I should have followed up, and you can on Zoom, but does that mean it hurts some days? Does that mean if you're facing Aaron Donald that you're nervous? It depends on the matchup. But what does it depend on, Jimmy?
Well, I would keep that one in the holster and bring it back up to him at some point.
I noticed you wore it today, but not last week. What was the difference? Why? Good call.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly, real quick, I want to say, so this was my question for him. It was a really good question. You liked it. It was not your average sports kid's question. On Cohn phone, I was like,
13 years old.
Yeah, I was like, hey, guys, what should I be looking for at practice? He's like, look for that knee brace. 13-year-old kid in South Carolina said, look for that knee brace. That says a lot about him. And boom, I saw it. He wasn't wearing it. I asked him. It led to that really interesting question. So what I'm trying to say is not your average sports kid from South Carolina directed the coverage of 49ers media this week. Did a great job. You're a natural, man. And he's in here right now.
He is.
Holler, shout out. All right, 2 more things. The good things we learned from week 1 of OTAs. You weren't there, but based on all the reports you've read, what have you gleaned? And I'll fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I would say the 3 things that stood out to me was McGlinchey's weight. And we saw that from pictures right away. That's a great thing. It tells me that he took the offseason very seriously and he's doing what he needs to do to turn around a bad season, frankly. Mm-hmm. I would say number 2 is Jimmy looking good. I mean, Jimmy is not known to be the best player in practice. You've talked about it many times. So the fact that he can come out, I know it's practice 1. Again, it's May, but he has a young kid breathing down his neck for that starting job. And he's heard all offseason about, is he going to be traded? Now he's got a kid coming in to replace him. Like everything that could have gone wrong in the offseason absolutely did. And for him to come in, be confident, look good in those limited times that you saw him, that's a good thing to look forward to.
Yep.
And then I would say this too, team camaraderie. You talk about a team. A lot of these teams are opting out of these OTAs. This team showed up in full force. Everybody that could participate that's not rehabbing was there. Mm-hmm. Even guys like Fred Warner, who are looking for new contracts, could get injured and ruin his whole career. He's there. Not only is he there, but he's participating in every drill. That tells me.
I mean, Alex Mack didn't do that. Trent Williams didn't do that. George Kittle didn't do that. Fred Warner, gotta love him.
Yep.
Gotta love him.
So when you see every veteran showing up and putting in the work, even if it was limited, that tells you a lot about where this team is, the camaraderie that they have. And those things right there make major differences in wins and losses when it comes to the regular season. It'll be interesting to see. We've got Aaron Rodgers in Hawaii vacationing all day long. He was the talk of Twitter. Pictures are being posted. He's not showing up. What is the psyche of that team, right? I know the psyche of the 49ers is in a really, really good place, and I love to see it.
That's a great answer. I only got little things that I saw that haven't been reported on, just little impressions. One of the things I like to do in May is see whose body's changed. Like, who's in better shape, who's in worse shape. A few years ago, I called Aaron Lynch being 20 pounds overweight. People disputed it until he admitted it on his own. I saw that. I was like, that dude is fat. So
no PHAT either.
No baby fat. That is so. Anyway, last year, a couple of years ago, I called that Fred Warner totally rebuilt his body, looked big. Two guys that I thought looked different. Okay. First, Jason Verrett. I've never seen healthy, strong, in shape Jason Verrett at this part of the year. He looks great. He's got huge calves. I mean, not calves, thighs. His legs look big. He looks very healthy. He looks like he's going to lock down everyone that he goes up against in camp. So it's good to see Jason Verrett looking like full speed for the first time ever in an offseason. And Ross Dwelley looks yoked. I never thought I'd see him like this, but he looks like a different dude. Yeah. So two guys that are noticeably different, have noticeably changed their bodies. That's the only thing. You got everything else.
That's good. You know what actually stood out to me too that I want to call this out? The fact that Kittle said that he knew that Dwelley's your favorite tight end. These guys pay attention, man. Not necessarily to the show, but the things that you say on Twitter, the conversations that everybody has on Twitter, these guys pay attention. He wouldn't know that unless he's either watched or reads things that you tweet about. So that was kind of cool to see that.
In my defense, Ross Dwelley is the best tight end in the league, so I don't see what the problem is.
He's looking even better. Like, watch out.
I would wear a full body brace if McGlinchey was blocking for me. Maybe that is where the confidence ends.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, ask Nick Mullins about that one, man. Nick Mullins going to be ruining the day that he played behind
right.
Big Mike. Okay, bad things we learned from 49ers OTAs. What did you glean from the reports?
Yeah, I mean, the two things that stood out to me was obviously Jeff Wilson's injury.
Yeah. How about Jeff Wilson Jr.? Dude, did you hear how he tore it?
You said that he was standing up and turning in the locker room, just a regular.
That's what John Lynch said. He was at practice. It went great. He came back, sat at his locker, talking to his friends, talking to his teammates, stands up, turns, substantial meniscus tear. This team, what is with this team, man? The guy was in the locker room. He couldn't. There is something weird with this team. Here we go, man. Here we go. So, yeah, that was the first bad thing I learned, man. The entire Levi Stadium is cursed.
I want to talk about that for a second. I want to bring up two fronts on this. The first one is, I know that I just said don't panic when it comes to Lance. It's early. But when we have an injury this big, this early.
In the locker room.
I'm panicking a little bit. I mean, we've seen this before. We cannot go through this again. I'm worried. These things worry me. Is it overreaction? I can't even tell if East Bay Chris is
serious or not. Like, is this a serious tweet or are you just snark?
The Patriots game last year, it was a ticking time. You never know with him. I got to go. That's a snark.
Okay. Sorry about that.
The other thing that I'll point out is this. Unfortunately, I've been through these types of injuries. I've torn my meniscus twice.
Ooh.
And I actually have, I had it in my left ankle. I currently have it in my right ankle. I've got what's called a talar dome fracture. So what that means is you've got a cartilage in your ankle very similar to a meniscus would be in your knee. Mm-hmm. And that's worn away on me. So what happens is that leg bone is a lot stronger than the top of your foot bone, and it chips away at it. So when I had surgery on that with my ankle, they had to completely put in a new cartilage from a fetus, unfortunately. I mean, it sounds weird, mm-hmm. but that's what they had to do and culture it and help it grow. That, by the way, was only a 5-month injury. I was playing basketball after 5 months. So to hear a meniscus injury, which if you have a full repair on a meniscus, as an average Joe, I'm able to go out and play basketball and flag football at 37 years old, okay? And do that in 3 months is what my doctor tells me. And I'm having a full repair of it. I'm not having anything cut away. It's a full repair, much like Wilson. Why is it going to take 4 to 6 months? That's a concern. That tells me there's more than just a meniscus.
He did say substantial, so yeah, probably more than a meniscus.
It has to be more than a meniscus. All from
standing up and turning. That's
crazy. That's absolutely crazy to me.
It's hella crazy, man. If this happened in baseball, I'd be like, wait a second. Is this a Madison Bumgarner situation? What's the real story here? I'm sure it's the real story, dude. Yeah. I'm so sorry. That's what sucks about football. Dude, his story is amazing. He played football at what? North Texas, right. Okay? Right. Some nobody gets an undrafted free agent, still has no chance to make any money as a football player, makes it, plays really well, gets a 1-year contract, tears his meniscus standing up. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm really sorry, dude.
There's no way it's a made up story. Like that's too complex. That is actually what happened, and it sucks, man. It
really sucks.
I thought Wilson was going to lead the team in carries this year.
He was my pick to lead the team in carries. I still say they would have won the Super Bowl if he had gotten Tevin Coleman's carries in 2019.
Yeah.
I still say it. I'm always say it. Graham, I get worked up when I talk about Jeff Wilson Jr. Graham says, boring question, but do you take notice if the players stretch properly before training? They seem to be lackluster when they stretch. Not really. Imagine if I was standing there being like, 84 is not. You better stretch better, buddy. You didn't stretch. No, although actually last year I did. I used to make fun of Jordan Reed because Jordan Reed never did anything at training camp, but he would come out and stretch. So I'd put him in the good section. I was like, just such a good stretcher. He's just elite at stretching. The whole Jordan Reed experience last year was a waste of time, space, and money. Good question.
And it set back Rolly for a year.
I'm still salty about that, man. But anyway, it brought out maybe Jordan Reed was the chip that Dwelly needed to put on his shoulder. Whatever it is, the guy looks fantastic.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that he's looking good.
I'm maybe a Jimmy fan. What's up, Aaron? But I really do hope Trey fixes these tweaks and becomes great. To be honest, I think Julio could benefit both quarterbacks in different ways. Yeah, I think hot take here. Julio benefits quarterbacks. No, I'm with you.
I don't buy it.
Like that, but yeah, I don't buy it. You're going to need to give me some evidence behind that one, man.
All right. Yeah, I think unfortunately he brings up a good point that Julio benefits both of these quarterbacks. The problem is I don't think both of these quarterbacks benefit Julio. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Jimmy doesn't have a deep ball. And a lot of the rumors surrounding Julio is that he wants out because Matt Ryan's lost a little bit on the deep ball, and he wants somebody that can get him the ball and prove that he can still be elite in the NFL. So Jimmy's not the guy to do that.
No.
So if he's the starter, I think it's a bad move.
Didn't he go out and say he wanted to play with someone like Dante Culpepper, which is the most random.
Super random.
But Dante Culpepper did play a very specific style of football in like 2004 and was pretty good before he was 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. Go back and watch the highlights. They're not HD kids, but he was good. Kind of Randall Cunningham-ish plus about a hundo, about deuce and a half.
He was making Pro Bowls. He was making Pro Bowls.
Slinging
it to Randy Moss.
Oh, yeah, man. He would just kind of like buy time, and then throw it as far as he could. And it worked. That was our offense.
Yep.
All right.
Dante Culpepper of all players.
He said, I was like, I really want a Dante Culpepper. Like, man, that shouldn't be too hard to find, man. I don't know. Well, this was a really fun. Just when you thought it was over, they pull you back in. Grant, they do okay at Levite Stadium. Grab your mic, Grant. Go to the highest point in the stadium. You have the ancestry and banish injuries. I'll do what I can, all right? There's something unholy happening at Levi Stadium. In the locker room, Jeff, I'm so sorry, man. At least it wasn't at your house. You could have done the same injury anywhere. Thank God it was on the Niners facility because they have to pay you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
I'm a big
time.
pro player on that one, man. Good stuff. Because honestly, if you had done the same injury at home, they would have been like, Jeff, we love you, baby, but we just, sorry, principle thing. There's principalities involved, okay?
I want to talk about that for a second because Denver's now done this twice in the offseason and people are killing them for it. I have a weird feeling that if it had happened at home, that the 49ers would have actually covered it. They're weird about those things where they are
Lynch
trying to
effect.
put a good foot forward. I really think
John
they
Lynch
would have
effect.
covered it.
I hope they would have. And you
Yeah.
know what? It's a good point because, John Lynch seems to care about those kind of things.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. That was 8 hours straight of streaming. I'm not sure exactly why I did it, but I think it worked out really well. And all these shows were really good. My guests are terrific. You're phenomenal. Someone in here said that my crew is the new Sports Center. I think so. Everyone knows you guys. You guys all have different personalities, and you guys all kill it. A lot of times I'm like, man, Jesse's going to have to carry this one today. I just don't got it. And you do. It was great. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. A lot of fun. Always enjoy it. I'm probably going to go a little lighter tomorrow just because Amin has been emailing me. He's like, dude, you need to slow down.
Slow down.
So 13-year-old is a little concerned about my well-being. Legit. Tomorrow, I'm going to try my best to slow down a little bit. So thank you, everyone.
Speaking of Amin, are you? I think we're scheduled to go on his channel tomorrow night. Are we?
Can't slow down too much. So 6:00 on Amin's channel, Jesse and I, with the one of the up and coming superstars of the 49ers of sports journalism. Period. Amin, the dream. That's all you got to know.
Amin, the do as I say, not as I do, because I'm going to tell you to slow down and then invite you on my channel.
Yeah, I'll slow down next month. All right, guys. Thank you very much. See it. You killing it, Grant. Hey, you killing it, Napa. Thank you very much. Take care.